Footballogy, the Footballogy app. Have you got the Footballogy app on your phone? At the point, do you know any of these sad cases that they have the Footballogy app on their phone? I think it's supposed to sound kind of pseudo-scientific, pseudo-religious, isn't it? Footballogy. It's like that shop you get in Princess Square. Anthropology, where you get your ceramic turkey basters with New York written down the side of them. In fact, they're more exciting than the Footballogy app. Guys in their 50s and their 60s, some of them even older than that. And this app just takes a note of all the games they've been to, ever. Just takes a list of every football. I mean, go for the fighting, go for a bit of sectarian hatred, go for the bevying, go for the socialising, that. But this, just treating it like a big train spotting type of thing, where you're ticking off every international match you've been to, every juniors game you've been, every semi-professional game actually that I've been to, every schoolboy international. How many goals did I see in the month of February in 1979? I'll just go into my Footballogy app and I'll check that out. It's utterly pathetic. But on my Footballogy app that I've got on the phone, it tells me I've been to 1,282, I think it is, games. I mean, that's short, that is well short, that is light. I've been to at least about 50, 60 Ardrossan Winton Rovers games that are recorded there, because you've got to, at the beginning, you've got to have some sort of data source, you've got some sort of database. You go in there and you type in all the games you've been to before. I mean, the Footballogy app is only about 10 years old at most. So obviously I've been going to football for a lot longer than that, and to be honest, it's probably at most about 200-300 short in the games that I've keyed in there, because when I started going to the FITBA late 70s, early 80s, the juniors, before I was old enough or had enough money to start coming to watch Rangers kind of semi-independently, I would go to the juniors in my local team, Ardrossan Winton Rovers, the street I was born on, Winton Street in Ardrossan. The football ground at the top. That's probably why I'm so crazy about the game of association football. I was born in a street with a football ground at the top of it. Just around the corner was Anderson Terrace. No, Anderson Terrace, and that's my name's Anderson. And I think I've said this before. But they didn't have programmes. You wouldn't be able to get programmes at the juniors in the days like what you can now. It's not even called the juniors anymore. West of Scotland, whatever, Lowland League, that kind of stuff, semi-pro. But I did take a note. I've still got a lot of kind of like A5 jotters and things like that, with lots of notes about the first Rangers games I went to and stuff. But I didn't take a note of the juniors games I went to, and it still does my nutting. So it's kind of short. It's short. My tally on Footballogy isn't accurate. It says I've not been to 1,000 Rangers games yet, which, considering what age I am and how much time I spend talking about Rangers, thinking about Rangers, reading about Rangers, waking up in the middle of the night crying about Rangers, it's really quite pathetic. It's not always been a first-hand love with me. It's always been love, but a lot of the time I've not been able to afford to do, most of my life I've not been able to afford to do away games. I'll just go to Ibrox and Hampden, really. But it's not very, but the one thing about that, it's still a pretty impressive total for most folk who've got a kind of handle on the football. They do see it as a not even a hobby, just a social thing. A lot of folk see it that way. So if you say to them, I've been to like 1,500 football matches, like, oh dearie me, And what I find you can do with that is learn nothing about football. That's what I mean. If you watch my podcasts in any way, shape or form, any number of them at all, you'll have picked up pretty quickly, and I'm going to reaffirm this during the course of this podcast, that I know nothing about professional football. I don't have a clue. So what is it a day when I go to these games? I just sit there and worry. I'll look at the shapes and the colours, and it's nice to be out, get some fresh air. I can pretend I've got pals, because if they're wearing the same colour scarf as me, then I'm entitled to hug them. And start kissing them and stuff like that. Probably best to do it after I go. Some folk get kind of angry, but basically I don't learn anything about the game because I'm too busy worrying. I'm too busy. But you don't tell anybody that. What's the score going to be? I'm like, I don't know. And any score predictions I make, anything that I say about a player, oh yeah, if he plays him on this side of the park, it just all turns out to be wrong. 100% wrong. All the time. That's all I ever am when it comes to judging football. So I've learned nothing in all these years of spending a lot of time watching football and caring about football. But nevertheless, what you can't help doing is that typical old man thing. Listen, son, when you get to my age, you pick up a few things along. There's lots of folk who are like, 12, 3 years old even, that are a lot more intelligent than me. I got a lot more street smarts than me as well. But it's like folk who are old, particularly the kind of stupid folk who are older, will just I've survived. I've got to like 50 odd years old and I haven't died. Therefore, I'm cleverer than you. You know, somebody with a PhD and stuff like that since they were 20. No, I'm cleverer than you because I've just been here longer. Seniority, you know, age before beauty, all that kind of stuff. It's not the case, but you can't help doing that with the football. You can't help doing that. So if I'm sitting at Ibrox, a footballogy mindset, and there's somebody who's just coming to their third or fourth football match, isn't really that bothered about football, doesn't pretend to know much about football, and they're sitting going, oh, just score, oh, just put the ball in the back of the net. You're like, oh, God's sake. You got to nail that as well. That's the one thing I've practiced it a long time. You got to get the wee kind of smirky laugh type thing. The condescension's got to be just done to perfection. You got to, he goes back, right? And it's a kind of tut mixed with a laugh. You know, you kind of contempt, but also, you know, mockery in there as well. You roll the eyes back a wee bit. You don't close your eyes completely. You know, it's not that simple, dear. I don't think it's if it was as simple as just putting the ball in the back of the net, I think a lot more football teams would be doing it than us, don't you? I think a lot more. Yeah, it's a bit more complicated than that. See for a minute, I would say probably 85, maybe 82 or something today to the minute 95. That was me, you know. Just fucking score. Just got to put it in the back of the net. Just hit the thing. Hit it into the net. You stupid git. Just score. Why can't you just score? It's, you know, you paid lots of money. Well, the opposition players are paid lots of money. I don't care. Score. We're the ones in the blue shirts. That rune thing there, that's the ball. We're shooting that way. I was doing all that at probably the last kind of 10 minutes. Definitely the last 10 minutes at least. The game today, there was like 3-year-olds that had been brought along. They'd got a ticket for Ibrox, Rangers versus Motherwell, with a Christmas present, the first game they'd been to, you know, and they're like pulling me by the arm going, big man, settle down, it's going to be alright. It's not that straightforward, we're going to see this. She thinks so. Don't tell me that if you don't think it's true. It was quite panicky towards it, quite frustrating when he can't score the goals. Because the other thing you can encounter at the football socially, what happened to me anyway, when I was up the back of the Govan stand from the year 2000 to 2012. I was up the back of the Govan stand, my season ticket was up there, and you get to know everybody around about you and stuff like that, like your pals and that up there. And then when what happened during that summer, and it was this guy, Charles Green, he seems a bit of a gangster, we're giving him my money, so I wasn't going to pay him hundreds up front for a season ticket, so I was just sussing out the situation. So I didn't miss a single game, but Ibrox, but I was just going game by game, and I started moving to different bits of the ground I hadn't been to for years, just to get a different angle on things, because it was quite a revolutionary moment for us. And they went in the front because your season ticket for decades. So I was sitting down the front of the Brimlin, I was sitting up the back of the Brimlin, I went to the east enclosure, the west enclosure, or the stadium. But eventually I got to the point I thought, no, I'm going to have to get myself a season ticket again. It's obviously the love isn't going to die in any way, shape or form. I think we're getting ourselves back into it, and I'm going to be here all the time. So I need to get myself. So I was trying to pick a new place because the boy that I sat next to, he'd moved as well up in the old. A few of the folk I didn't want to go back there after being a season away, and I think somebody took my old season ticket seat anyway. So I went to a friendly. Who were they playing in the friendly? I can't remember. Burnley? No, it was much earlier than that. We played something in a friendly, and I went along and I sat in the main stand. This seat in the main stand was available, and the folk about seemed all right. They seemed quite kind of. So I went in there. I went and got a season ticket for that. Turned out that seat was actually available as a season ticket, so I bought that. And when you first move in to a crowd of new folk who all know each other, you know, and it's like first day in the joint. I don't mean you go and find the biggest guy and you punch him or anything like that. I mean you just shut up, keep your head down, shut up. Like a new job almost for the first season. Keep yourself to yourself. Say hello to folk. Be pleasant. But you've got to rein it in. You've got to kind of. You don't want. You particularly don't want to start shouting stuff, OTT stuff that the players are in. And you don't want to have a go at anybody running about you, you know, telling if anybody asks a question or something like that, no, what the hell's he did? When did we sign that guy? You know, I wouldn't even bother. I wouldn't even answer that straight away. Look a bit of a smart arse. You know, a few months down the line, maybe, you know, kind of 10 games into the season, you can start going, oh, I think we signed him, you know, for Fortuna Düsseldorf or, you know, Luton Town or something. You can maybe start getting in there, and you just got to build it up slowly. So I've been in there since I think it's 2014. I've been in the bit. I mean, that's I'm coming up for 12 years really that I've been in a particular season ticket seat, and it's just gone completely the other. I think what we've been through. I went in there was it the Championship? Was it the first season of the Championship? No, it was the League One season, the third tier. I went in. Went into where I am just now, that season ticket seat, and now like I've been to folks' weddings and stuff. We're all busy pals. I die for these guys, for these girls and guys in there. But oh man, no, it's just completely. It's just like, what's that? Is he greeting? He is greeting. There's a point in the game of the day where I'm saying, I just turned round and I'm saying to Jenna next to me and our dad, Davey, I'm going to say it, and they're like, oh, for fuck's sake, what? I've just got to say it, right? I'll get it out. This better not be tempting. No, I'm trying to beat the jinx, right? Okay, we drew 2 each with Dundee United at Ibrox, and we drew 2 each with Dundee United at Tannadice. And we beat Livingston 2-1 at Livingston, and we beat Livingston 2-1 at Ibrox, and we beat Hibs 1-0 at Easter Road, and we beat Alec, shut up. No, but we did. I just need to say it. And we beat Hibs 1-0 at Ibrox in the league as well. We keep getting. I mean, it's a different scoreline, but we scored 3 against Kilmarnock at Ibrox, and we scored 3 against Kilmarnock at Old Park. Alec, shut your face. No, but David, just go to sit. Like Jenna's punching me, and all that, and the guys from behind me are totally. Davy's got me up, other Davy's got me by the back of the neck, and he's like trying to choke me out and stuff like that. It's like, and I just think we just keep repeating the same, and we're only beating Motherwell 1-0, and we drew one each from Motherwell, we put it putting the boot in. But I just had to say it, I just had to get it out. You've got no shame. You just get to the point when you get to know folk, you've got absolutely no shame, and there's a total gibbering wreck by the end of that game, and nobody's bothered. I mean, Davey, when the final whistle went, Davey said to me, "You were wrong, Alec, you were wrong." And I'm going, "I know, thank fuck." It's quite tense, quite tense at the end there, but we got there in the end. We won. Another thing I picked. There's two words that we used to use at this club in my time at this club, and it meant the absolute world. And those words are Derek Johnston. Place goes crazy. DJ on the part. I mean, Derek Johnston was one of my first Rangers heroes. It will just always remain an absolute Rangers hero. He scored in the first Rangers game I went to. The Derek Parlane scored the first goal I ever saw Rangers scoring back in 1977. So he was a main man. He scored all the time as far as I was concerned when I was a kid growing up. There was John Gregg. Then we signed David Cooper the following, a year after I started remembering Rangers stuff. We signed David Cooper, and I would go to, school obviously. Walking about or going to sleep at night time, and quite an embarrassingly long time into my kind of early adulthood as I was working. I started working when I was 17, 16, late 16, 17. I mean the age 16, not 19, 16. 16, 17 years old, I started working in a local place, but on my way from my house to the bus stop in the morning, I just get into this kind of fugue state, this kind of reverie, this like a trance, and I would just go into what makes me feel good, scoring for Rangers. I'd still have the fantasy of me scoring for Rangers, and it was always Cooper, Derek Johnston, Anderson scores a rebound. I would always score it. It would always be David Cooper putting a cross in. Derek Johnston would go in there with a header, and he would probably still had the big perm on, and he would rattle it off the stanchion, back off the underside of the bar, or the keeper would save it or something, and I would go in and score the rebound. So it's two words that I used to say to myself all the time. I mean, just going about my business from day to day, just like Derek Johnston. I mean, Cooper with the cross, Johnson with the head. Anderson scores Anderson at the back post. There scores the rebound. So Derek Johnston. I don't remember everything about his career, although Rangers put a lot of it up on the screen today before he came down the tunnel to do the half-time draw. Of course, most famously the goal against Celtic in the League Cup final when he was just a teenager himself. But I think he scored against Motherwell, the 1976 Scottish Cup semi-final. We're 2-0 done. We come back to win 3-2. My auntie was in the schoolboys enclosure, and my uncle, and famously that's the night she burnt a guy in the face with a cigarette. Everybody's smoking in the days. she'd just be a young woman herself, probably still in her teens. And when Rangers went for 2-0 down to win 3-2, she celebrated with the arms outwards, the cigarette still in hand, and basically they stubbed their cigarette out in the cheeks of a fellow Rangers supporter. That's how hard a support we are. That's how we celebrate. We burn each other. But there's that, and I think about the game against Motherwell at Fir Park when we won the treble, 78, was it 77, 78, that one, where we're 3-0 down at half time, 3-0 down, and some of the Bears decided to intervene, just to show how much they weren't enjoying this performance, to make their point to the players of Motherwell as well as the players of Rangers, and strangely enough, 10,000 rabid Bears and Parkers haven't come on the park. Motherwell decided to lay off a bit, and Rangers won 5-3. Derek Johnson definitely scored, definitely did there, but arguably Derek Johnson's greatest performance against Motherwell for Rangers might have been at half time today. It certainly made a difference, a material difference to the performance in the second half. I think it was maybe Derek's probably one whiskey and one pint away from just saying, and there's too many Catholics in the team right now. He kept it all above board. There was nothing like that said. I wasn't getting close to that, but it was quite a staunch speech he was having at half time there, and it seemed to make the difference. Rangers 0-0. We go 1-0 up in the second half. I don't have a dummy at centre half or up front throughout this game. A bit of both, obviously. Cap for Scotland in midfield as well. He's always happy to tell you that, Derek Johnson. But I think it was, what's this? We're just heading for 2026. So it's just under 40 years since Derek Johnson played his last games for Rangers. As soon as comes in at the end of 85-86 season with Walter Smith, and Derek Johnson was one of the guys who got put in the transfer list. I don't know if he played the Glasgow Cup final. I need to check that when we beat Celtic at the end of the 85-86 season. In the Glasgow Cup final here at Ibrox, in front of 40-odd thousand. Celtic had won the league the week before, pipping Hearts to the title, and we gave them a quick. It's one of the Glasgow Cup finals that there was a crowd. Alan McCoy scored a hat-trick, but I don't know if DJ played in that one, but he got let go that summer, and he took up the job, player manager of Partick Thistle, and we played Bayern Munich in one of the big pre-season friendlies under Souness before the start of the ultimately victorious 86-87 season. My girlfriend at the time, I was taking her along to that game up the back of the Colton. We were a beautiful summer's night. It was Terry Butcher's first tackle was on Dieter Hoeneß. Uli Hoeneß, his brother, big Dieter Hoeneß of Bayern Munich. Terry Butcher's first tackle for Rangers. That was a great moment. But outside of the programme, and I bumped this Derek Johnson. I just went up to him and folk were getting his autograph, so I just got right in there. And my girlfriend, who'd never been to a game in her life, I don't think it's been to a game since, I haven't seen her for 40 odd years. But I'm saying to her, she's like, give me his autograph as well. You don't even know who he is. But go to autographs for Derek Johnson. I'm saying, good luck at Thistle, Derek, and that worked out really well for him, because if I wish you good luck, it's over. But that's my last kind of involvement with Derek Johnson. I spoke to him a few times, but couldn't quite get interviews out of him when I did the book about the Barcelona Bears a few decades ago. But that was the last time I had a positive interaction with Derek Johnson at Ibrox, and then today out he comes and just gives that wee rousing speech at half time that got everybody going, how you doing, folks? This is your Fat Egg immediate post for the second straight weekend on the trot. Rangers found themselves playing against a team that is above them in the SPFL Premiership for the second straight weekend on the trot. Rangers had the ball in the back of the net first, and it was disallowed. But luckily for the second straight game at Ibrox on the trot, Rangers prevailed by 1-0 to go in 2 points clear in third place in the table. Also, as per that game against Hibs, the last time we played here, we had a lot of chances at the end of the game to build on that 1-0 lead to finish the game off, but didn't quite manage it. Reaction pod coming to you in association with Gersnet. I don't know who's on Gersnet. I'm assuming the pod's going to be on tomorrow night, Sunday night. The 28th, 9:30, the flagship show. Sorry, Christmas head on me just now. It's all turkey and Jack Daniels at this moment in time. And I'm also sponsored by, obviously, Holidays and Dieting, because that's probably what I said at this the exact same pod this time last season. I'll never get over the fact that it's just Christmas. Buy this stuff, buy this food, Oh, M&S food, look at this. Oh, get in there, yum, 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 yum. And then it's 5 o'clock, Christmas Eve. The minute they've worked out that you have no more time to buy anything for Christmas Day, bang! Oh, that stuff you bought at Christmas, it's killing you. You're an idiot. Just get these diet pills. Go on holiday in the summertime. It's nearly summer. I'm sponsored by that. Oh, the cynicism. My name's Alec Anderson. Oh, the streets are filled with things eager to be held. I know what hands are for, and I'd like to help myself. You asked me for the time, but I sent something more. And I would like to give you what I think you're asking for. You handsome devil. Oh, you handsome devil. Let me get my hands on your... No, I better not, actually. I better not sing that, but it's getting a bit... But I am finding Thelo AASGAARD today very, very handsome. As that handsome young man looks the part. Always looks super glamorous and super massive. He's huge. He's got the build. He's got the massive build that you expect of a top-rate footballer, top-level, a world-class footballer. He's scoring 4 goals in a single game for Norway and stuff like that. This guy's, and he just hasn't performed for Rangers. It's been, since he arrived from Luton Town, he's just been reminding me of. He's been more like the Charles Bronson that comes for Luton, when the one that's in jail for like sucking folks' eyeballs at their head and stuff like that, as opposed to the Charles Bronson that Once Upon a Time in the West and the Dirty Dozen, Death Wish films. In the Dirty Dozen, Charles Bronson is in the Dirty Dozen. I think he is, but he's been more like, it's just not been happening at all. He scored a couple of goals in that before, but he's had little moments, and he had a few moments today where again he looked like he was flattering to deceive, and the goal he scored in the end up at tap-in, but he's in the right place at the right time after a typical Jedi Gassama curling shot from the inside forward positions. It's parried by the goalkeeper to his feet in the 67th minute, and even then I thought 67 minutes, oh that's a 67, it's a bad number, don't want to know about that, but no, maybe that's going to end up with Motherwell equalising. Motherwell did not repeat the pattern that's been dogging Rangers this season of us getting the same result and often the same scoreline in the second league game we've had against an opponent that we had in the first game. So far this season, Motherwell, the team we drew 1 each with in the opening day of the 2025-2026 SPFL Premiership, to so much controversy and chagrin at Fir Park today. We beat them by 1-0 to go third, as I say, in the SPFL Premiership table. My name is Alec. Yes, that's my bells you can hear jingling. Anderson. I just want to say a big thank you to Lynn. Bumped into Lynn there. And my way out we're both just heading out the main stand on the Edmiston Drive. Really nice about the pod, Lynn. Thanks very much, pal. Her and her husband listed. He sounds like a proper classy guy as well. If he's listening to the Fat Egg pod, and it's always really lovely. I really appreciate that when somebody comes up and just says, "Listen to the pod," and I don't hate you. You know, it's great. I listen to your podcast and I don't want to punch you. That's fine. But I'm quite a kind of subtextual kind of guy, so I read in between the lines of what Lynn was saying, and I felt as if what she was really trying to say to me was, "Big man, you're fading away to nothing there. You look like you need to get something to eat." So I've actually had chips and gravy between the end of the game and coming up here and actually talking to you to my pod, because I knew I was about to pass out, because I think I left the house at 2:05 the day in the motor, so I haven't eaten anything from 2:05 till the game finished at 5 o'clock, back at 5. So that's the longest I've gone without eating of the last 3 days by about 2.5 hours. That is the longest I've gone without something to eat or drink for the past 2.5 days, or almost 3 days of total festive indulgence. And you can see I'm probably diabetic or something like that. You know, get ready to pass out when I don't get enough grub going into me. And I have to say that I made a really painful analogy, metaphor, whatever, when it came to the fact that I'd been let down, couldn't get a turkey crown for Marks and Spencer's. Usually get a turkey crown for, if it's my wife and myself in the house, ourselves, just having a wee kind of quiet Christmas to ourselves, which is pretty much the way I like it after so many years of very, very loud Christmases, very, very busy Christmases. So we go in there at Marks and Spencer's. Everything used to get really organised, and you'd have to get your turkey crown ordered online, and you have to go and pick it up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, 3 days before Christmas, in a big queue of folk, and realised that there wasn't actually any need for that. There was still plenty of turkey crowns and plenty of whole turkeys left in Marks and Spencer's later on in the day. So we've been getting more and more slack about it the last few times I've tried it. I went there on Christmas Eve, they'd no turkey crowns left, there was no turkey left in Marks and Spencer's. That's what I get for being badly organised. But now I've seen this was just like heart. I went to Morrison's and I got a turkey crown for Morrison's, and the packaging was awful and it looked really dour compared to, there's no stuffing involved. It looked really dour and bad compared to the stuff the big sell you usually get for Marks and Spencer's. Of course, Marks and Spencer's got a fantastic reputation, and I was saying that what I would usually do is get the turkey crown for Marks and Spencer's, spend a wee bit more, and then get all the trimmings from not cheaper shops, cheaper, not necessarily cheaper in quality, but cheaper in price, like Morrison's or Lidl, Aldi, something like that. Just get all the trimmings for everywhere else. As long as you've got that central bit that's keeping you going, the main bit of quality, everything will work off the back of that. And I thought that's just what Hearts have been doing this season. They keep winning the big games, beating Rangers and Celtic, both home and away this season. And they've been slipping up a wee bit, drawing with Falkirk and or drawing with Motherwell, like ourselves, and having other, I can't remember other bad results they've had, but I had other wee kind of letdowns. And I'm saying, but no, maybe I've got the Morrison stuff. I'm just like Rangers. We can't get the big results in the big games. But it turned out that turkey crown was the bloody tastiest turkey I have had for years. It was phenomenal. Didn't even dent. It stuck some butter up its jacksie. That was about it. It was absolutely different class. It's some of the tastiest stuff I've ever had in my life. And I was having it yesterday as well, having it again yesterday, and it was just as tasty as it was on the day, the next day, just as tasty cold as it was warm. And it kind of tones in, it kind of ties in, I think, with what's happened today. Rangers go out there, and it's no a massive game. And it's Motherwell. We don't expect Motherwell to win the title. A lot of us don't expect Hearts to win, but Hearts have slipped up the day before we even kicked off. Hearts, as I predicted, lost to Hibs at Easter Road. It's a wee tester for them. And ourselves, we've come and we've beat Motherwell. We have defeated Motherwell, who were above us in the league. And I was saying this like a psychological barrier with Motherwell this season. We went above them when we beat Hibs here 1-0 on the Monday night game last week. And then the following, when we lost to Hearts at Tynecastle, Motherwell had won the day before that. They beat Dundee 1-0, which meant they were the first ones to, they beat us to crossing the 30 points threshold. We are now into the 30 points threshold and through the 30 points threshold as well. But again, we've gone above them again. We're 2 points. This is twice in the space of basically a fortnight that we've got above Motherwell. We're starting to push them behind us. We Hibs haven't won that game the day before we'd even kicked off. We haven't won the big Edinburgh derby. It meant that you're thinking, oh, that's good. That means we can suck Hearts back into. If we win the day, we'll suck Hearts back into our kind of orbit. But you're also thinking it also means Hibs are right up our backside as well. Hibs would certainly be a point behind us. We haven't quite got away yet. Hearts are now 9 points ahead of us. We've played a game. No, I think we've played something again. Have we played something against Hearts? Not quite sure. But Hearts are definitely 9 points ahead of us. And we are 6 points behind Celtic, who have like 7 goals better goal difference. They've played a game less than Hearts, who they are 3 points behind. So it's, well, you can work that out arithmetically. So it feels that because we expect to be up there as Rangers, we're so used to, we've finished second so often of late that we've forgotten that sometimes, it's guaranteed to finish second. And a good, it's not like that means you're going to finish first. You could go down the way. So we're naturally looking up the way, thinking we're heading for the top of the table. This is more in the kind of territory. This is, we can concentrate in the battle that we are used to fighting, trying to win the league. But no, we've taken a small step towards kind of jettisoning the rest of the table, getting away from that mid-table, basically kind of fourth down to about 8th probably, getting away from that morass of teams that are just below it's usually the top 2. Celtic, obviously, in Hearts, aren't they as far away from those teams as they would want to be if they're trying to win the SPFL Premiership. But this is a very different SPFL Premiership, and that's what we're a bit worried. That's why we're a bit worried about what was going to happen today with Motherwell, who have been, as much as Hearts, proportionately, I think, as much of a surprise this season, as impressive this season, overperforming as the Jambos have. Motherwell doing really well, and they were a tough opponent today. I'm walking along, I will talk about the game at some point, but I'm walking along the road there. I'm walking along what's it called, no Paisley Road, West Shield Hall Road, past the Rangers Club, and hearing it's weird. You've been in that kind of, it's a kind of glaze you get into when you're allowed to have Christmas Day to yourself, and then Boxing Day you just sit and have a wee, I wasn't particularly wrecked or anything like that, but often nice wee drinks here and there. plenty of food. As you can tell by my face, that's not a strange thing to me, but I was up in the ante a bit over the past couple of days. Like everybody does at Christmas, just sit and watch whatever telly you want, you've got nowhere to go. So it ends up when you go into the Fitba, there's a kind of, right back into reality here. I've got somewhere to go, I've got stuff to talk about, I've got other people to meet all of a sudden. And I'm walking, I've got that kind of glaze on top, like the glaze that I put on top of my gammon joint that I also got for Marks and Spencer's. Because I guarantee, in case there's a total meat shortage across the whole city, in case there's no turkeys left, I got myself a gammon joint, a big ham joint. And it's got a treacle glaze you put over the top of it. Now, I usually, on Boxing Day, I like to have a bit of ham joint or sit and watch. I like it to be The Eagle Has Landed, but I can't. That's my favourite one, Michael Caine, Larry Hagman, Treat Williams. But no, that wasn't happening. It was just the Italian job, and there was that thing. I've not watched it yet, the veterans thing, the D-Day veteran thing. Well, last night, that was a bit too kind of sentimental, a bit too heartbreaking for me. I wasn't wanting that. And The Great Escape's a great film, first couple of times, but I've got no great desire. That's not one of the ones that does it for me in terms of I could watch it every Christmas. So I didn't bother with that, but I do like to have the ham joint, and I go for potato salad and coleslaw alongside that. So you've done hundreds of cooking the day before, lots of complicated stuff. This is one you just pop it in the oven, then you have it. But there was so much turkey left, and it was so good that I ended up, I've only had a couple of slices off the gammon joint. It starts waiting for me when I get in the house the night, but I've in a similar kind of glaze to the treacle glaze that I put over the top of that as I'm walking along Shield Hall Road today. It's a nice day for the football, really nice winter's day for the Fitba 3 o'clock kick-off on a Saturday, on the least Saturday feeling. It was starting to feel like Saturday going to Fitba at 3 o'clock, but yesterday did not feel like a Friday, did it? Boxing Day always feels like a Sunday. I could Sunday remind me when I get in the house tonight, I've got to put the bin out. I've got to put the grey bin out because I keep forgetting. I might forget again. This is Saturday, and the grey bin's got to go out because it's absolutely rammed with all the plastic and all the tin foil that you're using hunters it. Silver paper and stuff like that. Your Christmas, all the packaging for the food and all the presents and that. So it's absolutely rammed. It has got to go out. If it doesn't go out this month, I'm done. That's it's going to cause chaos in the house. So I'll pick that out when I get in. But I'm walking along Shield Hall Road today, and it's a lovely day for when there's folk chatting away. I'm just hearing wee things. Folk. There's always a thing when you go along to it always happens. A bus pulls up at the Wee Rangers Club. Just as I'm walking down. I park the motor back like Craigton, and I'm walking along down Shield Hall Road, and let's past the police station, Helm Street police station, and then it's where you used to have what do you call it? We used to have the Ants. St Anthony's used to play. I didn't know. For years I'd go past this and you see all the guys with their stuff rigged up, the scarves and that they were selling on this kind of corrugated metal fence. I didn't know it was St Anthony's that were actually on the other side of that. I only seen St Anthony's in their new park. They've got McKenna Park, the new McKenna Park that they've got up the far ends. Where's that? Cardonald. It's in. I didn't know the old one was in there. But I used to be, and I'm walking past that road, and a bus always pulls up, a supporters bus, and I'm always looking down at the ground, probably watching I don't fall over, and I look up just in time to see this bus door opening, and I'm thinking 9 times out of 10 that is going to be Rangers supporters. It's going to be Rangers supporters are getting dropped off, and they'll be told where they go and find the bus after the game. But it is heading towards over the other side of the Rangers club is the bus park for the away supporters. I'm thinking this could be the boys. This could be the Motherwell casuals, whatever they want to get in about it. They're just going to what am I going to do? You know what I mean? Am I going to fight? I'm getting down. I'll probably have a heart attack at my age. Obviously I'll get sparked out straight away if anybody even bothers having a fling at me. But you can't actually avoid it. If somebody comes out and they're like, "Come on, then, Motherwell!" Whoa, they're all bevy, they're all looking for a scrap. I'll have to get involved. And I thought I'm just really not in the best condition for that at all. But it wasn't. It was Rangers supporters getting off there. And then you're walking. I also heard the guy, a great quote today, guy saying, "Asda pegs are the worst pegs fucking gone." Asda pegs are the worst fucking pegs gone. I'll tell you that. Who said that? Who do you think said? No, I'm not looking for a name. Just walking a person. It's the guy, one of the guys that puts up all the scarves, that are selling the scarves and the hats and that, because he's got all the wee pegs. So he must have he's pegged them up so the scarves can all be stretched out and you can see the full extent of what they're saying. Take aim at the rebel scum. There's a whole lot of scarves now done with the Soonest with the shotgun after the big Tifo we had last season. and stuff like that. But he wanted to stretch it out so folk can read what they're going to get on these scarves. He's got them all stretched out, but he obviously must have forgot pegs in the house. He'd nipped out the AASGAARD, the Govan AASGAARD, and the pegs were shite, and they weren't holding up the scarves properly at all. And a few of them were green. I did notice that, green and white pegs. No having a go, needs must, but the pegs are shite. This is my Christmas. And then there's a boy walking past me, and he's like, Jack Butland, he's seen his pal, Jack Butland. I mean, I know he had a bit of a shaky game last week. I'm thinking, bit of a fucking shaky game. I had a shaky game last week, but I'm not in any rush to sell Jack Butland. I think he's actually all right. And I'm thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, Alec, this is why I did the podcast, so you're not getting involved in street fights with youths like this that don't know what they're talking about. But he's right, though, wasn't he? He was right. Jack Butland, Super Jack Butland in goals. It was Super Jack Butland that was back in goals for Rangers today. Really good save early on in the game, even better save just after that. Really decent save towards half-time, and then just after the break, probably the best save I've seen all season, anywhere, really. It was as a cracker. I'm inclined to exaggerate when it comes to Rangers games, but it looked like a flipping fantastic point-blank save from Jack Butland just before we scored, if I recall correctly. The team today, it was... we're back to the 4-2-3-1, 4 at the back, and it was Dujon Sterling and Manny Fernandez as your two centre halves. James Tavernier, Max Aarons goes to the bench, or remains on the bench. No, goes to the bench. And James Tavernier plays at right back as opposed to right centre back as he was last week at Tynecastle. Magoma retains his place. Jaden Magoma retains his place at left wing back. He's sitting two fixtures that are becoming Conor Barron and Nico Raskin. After Nico Raskin's a big long chat Danny Röhl revealed with Nico Raskin about what he wants to do about his performances this season. It was the reporter was making it out to be worse than Danny Röhl was. Danny Röhl was just saying, just having a chat. He wasn't saying whether he agreed with the reporter that Nico Raskin wasn't performing properly. He's a very important player for us, but they've had a chat. And in front of them, we had JD Gassama on the left-hand side, the kind of wide left position. Youssef Chermiti is the centre forward after his goal, only Rangers striker to have scored in the last two games. So have his goal allowed in the last two games. He was playing as the one up front. Out right was Thelo AASGAARD, controversial Mikey Moore, put forward yesterday for the press, or put forward on whenever it was Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas Eve for the media. A bit of mind games there from Danny Röhl. Mikey Moore starts on the bench to much of our disappointment. A lot of us really disappointed to see that. Thelo AASGAARD say flattening to deceive this season. But at 10 was Diamandi. Dio was back. The man taken off at half-time last week. Maybe it was just because we were changing the formation, being 2-0 down at Tynecastle at half-time last week. Maybe that it wasn't because he looked like he was trying to get himself sent off. Wasn't it a criticism? Dio wearing number 10, not at AFCON. Wearing number 10, playing... Number 10 for us today, behind big Youssef Chermiti, and the first quarter of an hour was taken up by everybody talking about what they had for Christmas, because really there was nothing else to talk about, not a lot else happening on the park, but also everybody just double checking with their pals. Have I got it? My signal's not too good on my phone here, but it seems to be in the 9-10 minutes that we've been watching nothing happen at all on the pitch in front of us. Livingston and Celtic have exchanged 4 goals. It's just like folk going, it's 1-0 to Livingston. Have they even kicked off yet? It's 1-0 to Livingston. Oh, very good. Then somebody got, no, it's 2-1 to Livingston. It's 2-1. Livingston are winning by 1 goal, but it's 2-1, no 1-0. They were just battering the goals back in. And back and forth. It's Almond Vale. Our attention. Our peripheral vision had moved from Midlothian to West Lothian because if Wilfried Nancy, the new Celtic manager, is struggling as Russell Martin had to so many of our current squad do, to understand the kind of vicissitudes, the viciousness of Scottish football, then Livingston's the very place he was going to come a cropper again, and it looked like they were having a hell of a ding-dong through there. But they were 2 each, nothing happening at Ibrox at all. Celtic, of course, and we're thinking that if Celtic were to slip up today as well, that's us slam bam right back in the drive. There's a chance of us winning the title. Has been taken back within the space of 6 days. But it didn't happen. Ultimately, Celtic won that game 4-2. But it was about, I think, the 12th minute when Motherwell put the ball over the top of us. There was a lot of this going on today. Motherwell's midfield, they seem to have about 25 guys in midfield. Very, very busy. Very industrious. Lots of game smarts. This manager, the new Danish manager, has really improved their tactics and their fitness by the looks of things as well. Motherwell always give us a hard game. They have done for decades, Motherwell. But they went out and put themselves about today. They had us. They weren't scared of us in any way, shape or form. They certainly weren't overawed. Busy crowd today. I think 3 o'clock kick-off on a Saturday between Christmas and New Year. Probably about 45,000 there. All a few spaces round about, but kind of spread out the spaces in between your usual season ticket holder seats. Some folk missing, but it was really good looking at Ibrox today. A nice kind of low winter sun. Wasn't quite getting through, but it's still quite a light day for the first half. And Ibrox looking pretty busy. Motherwell corner absolutely rammed. Tifo. I'm not grassing them up, but if we're getting done for 50 seats, they're getting done for 50. They're getting 50 seats taken off them, which would be just, is that thing they do in Parliament, you know, where there's a Tory guy's going to vote against a bill and a Labour guy's going to vote for the bill, but the two of them want to go on their holidays, so they both just don't vote. No, because they know it's going to go the same. We do the same with Motherwell when it comes to the seats. If they're getting 50 seats taken off them for the as I say, Tifo meant Pyro. It's Pyro. That's showing my age there. It's Pyro. They were Tifo. You allowed Tifo, Alec, and they had Tifo as well. But they also had Pyro. All the O's. Motherwell fans had all the O's with them today. They were right up for this. So there was flares going off in the middle of the Motherwell corner. We fireworks and stuff like that. So that's 50 seats. It's got to be. The precedent has been set. But we'll just they keep their 50 seats, we'll keep our 50 seats, and we play them at Fir Park next. And they put a ball over the top about 12 minutes into the game. Motherwell doing that thing of finding the space between our centre halves and our full-backs, and also just over the top. It's like we're so far up the park, we're pushing up, we've got that high line. When Motherwell put the ball over the top, whoever ran through onto it had no intention of trying to carry the ball forward and go through on goal. He immediately turned round back to our goal and knocks the ball back to an on-rushing support. I don't know the names of any of the Motherwell players, that's terrible. On-rushing support who fires the ball out to the kind of right-hand side of our box, and they're in on goal. Good solid save. It's near post from Jack Butland. 2 minutes later, they go down the other side. They work it, and again, they get through us really easily. They're going into the left-hand side of our box. I think it was through the left-hand side of our box. Even better save for Jack Butland. And it's like, this is not looking good. Things are getting everybody's getting a bit uptight. Everybody's getting a bit anxious. But then Motherwell, Rangers started passing the ball about like they didn't know where to go. Like they didn't know what to do. Motherwell were shutting us down, completely flooding the midfield. And it's that you couldn't really tell at the time. Are we just nervous here? Are we panicking? Because the crowd are certainly starting to get in their backs. Or are we being patient? Are we being clever? Are we accepting how bad we are? How good Motherwell are? Not getting above ourselves, not getting and realising the dangers there. Motherwell already had a couple of good chances. Let's treat them seriously. That's what we did. We treating them seriously, and we started to edge our way back into the game. Conor Barron had a shot from the edge of the box. The goalkeeper got down to parry well, and it fell. I think he parried out to the feet of JD Gassama, who steamed in and had a shot as well. I don't think he dived to the other side, but it's certainly a pretty impressive double save from the Motherwell goalkeeper. We then had a ball played to go to the back post, I think, and Thelo AASGAARD came in, and it was the left-hand side of the park, despite his kind of nominal starting position being on the right, and he side foots it past the post. I think it hit the side net, and I think it was a decent move, decent build-up, but we couldn't do anything with it. It was a pretty bad miss. Motherwell had another chance about a minute from half-time. They had a wee back heel. The fellas kind of facing away from our goal, kind of inside forward channels out on our right-hand side. He just back heels it, and they're in on goal, and it's Jack Butland again. I think it's a one-hander, this one, a super one-hander save. Doing well, big man. All in charcoal today, Jack Butland. And he was turning the Motherwell chances to ashes. And the steelmen in the factories on the foundry factory chimneys on their badge, well, he was like the ash that was coming from that. They were burning their own chances. It's, as I say, I've been eating a lot and drinking a lot after Christmas. At half-time, out comes Derek Johnston to do the half-time draw. And it was they gave them the big build-up, but they've done that before, Rangers, big build-up for, I think they're more familiar, the face. I think all those guys like Gaza or Brian Laudrup aren't they born and raised in Scotland and what? They always seem to get the big kind of massive cheers and folk go crazy for them. Whereas sometimes it's proper legends. I mean, like Willie Henderson coming out a couple of times and getting a kind of lukewarm applause, stuff like that. Davy Wilson, I remember getting a bad reception once as well years ago. Not bad reception, but I just didn't think it was ecstatic enough considering everything the man had done for the club, what he meant. But anyway, out came Derek Johnson and got a fairly decent reception. He was doing the old kind of slow walk, and maybe he's had a few drinks or whatever, but maybe not. Maybe just genuinely raging at what was going on in the park in front of him, and the fella's just trying to do the usual kind of anodyne interview, keep your time at the club, what was your favourite moment, blah blah blah. But then he starts giving it. This is just, we need to be getting about them. We need to just get in about them. We need to put more pressure on the Motherwell goal here. And folk are so kind of pissed off with what they've been watching the first half that everybody starts cheering. Yeah, a lot of times these guys get semi-ignored when they're making their wee bit of chat at half time. And he said, thing is, when I was playing for Rangers, it was all Scottish players. It was 11 Scots, and we knew how to get everybody G'd up. We knew what the game was all about in Scotland, and it was like, yeah. It was getting. You're thinking, is it going to be? We need to stop the small boats. No, I don't know. I don't think he didn't mean it that way. He just meaning Scottish football was very, very unique, very idiosyncratic, and you need 11 Scots sometimes to sort out what's going on. And then the guy said, "I think Rangers it'd be good to win today because one result already and another game has gone our way. I don't care about what the results go like in other games. It's about Rangers, about Rangers Day." It was good. Please go. It was the best half-time interview ever. And then eventually, I think the guy was trying to say, "Well, thanks very much, Danny." He just grabs a mic off him and he goes, "Listen, there's two words we used to use here all the time, and it got us places. No surrender." The joint went fucking wild. It was fantastic. And I think he's probably saved Rangers there because it was getting pretty anxious at half-time. It was getting pretty anxious in the build-up to half-time. No substitutes at half-time. But on their way, John Suter was out warming up all through the half-time break. But he didn't come out to start in the second half. And with what happened, there was a lot of incident in the first kind of 5 minutes of the second half. We had the goal disallowed. I think that was like 48 minutes or something like that. I don't even know. Is it those Motherwell, the flares, the pyro they had, I think would get in my eyes and stuff like that. I'm no grassing them up back. It's really dangerous. But I think somebody hit the byline and pulled the ball back. It's probably going to be Gassama on the left-hand side at that point. He pulls the ball back, and I just saw Nico Raskin, I don't know, edge of the box, penalty spottish, and he just side foots it into the Motherwell goalkeeper's been pulled over to where the ball was, and he just side foots it into the net and does a kind of slow and it's that way we're all standing up going, yay, thinking, I don't know, there's just something about this that doesn't feel right. It all happens so slowly. And you know that expression, well, the linesman's flag was, to be fair to the linesman, his flag was up straight away. This was the opposite of that. This was the inverse of that. To be fair to the linesman, his flag was so late that he was probably signalling for something that happened next season. He's probably signalling for an offside that will happen in Rangers against Motherwell at Ibrox, maybe 2 or 3 seasons down the line. But certainly, it's just like, the ball's in the back of the net, players are celebrating that. The next thing, the linesman, who just happens to be right in front of me, where I'm sitting, up goes the flag, and I was like, oh, for Christ's sake. Why is he flagging now? There is no point. He's been told to put his flag up. Maybe that's something we do. Maybe that's part of the VAR protocols. The one thing, if you watch the VAR show, the one thing you learn from that is you know nothing about football. You know nothing. Half the stuff you're complaining about is perfectly legitimate. So I'll not go too hard on that. But apparently it was, I think I've heard from somebody, it was Chermiti was supposed to be interfering. He was stood in front of the goalie in an offside position, he must have been. It looked like a straightforward goal to me, but I'm not going to argue with that one. VAR check. I won't argue with it until I know what's actually happened. I'll watch it in the sports scene. But it was disallowed, and I think, it's fine. Just no expecting in from VAR. These big calls on it. And that's a terrible thing. That's kind of rabble-rousing. That's conspiracy theorising. We would probably get every bit as much from VAR as goes against us. This doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like that for any set of fans. So you're thinking, we didn't get the goal last week at Tynecastle. Ends up working against us. Is it going to inspire Motherwell more than us? Danny Röhl not taking any chances. He puts on Mikey Moore, I think the 55th minute. But he takes off Diamandi. So big AASGAARD goes into the 10 position, and Mikey Moore goes left, and Gassama comes over at the right hand side, and that's worked out pretty well. And they end up at some point before we took the lead, at some point in in amongst all these early goings on in the first half. Motherwell have a breakaway, or not a breakaway, they were constructing plenty of attacks. Nothing, they weren't exactly hitting us in the counter-attack, they were waiting to pounce, you know, with great, that was a game plan. There's nothing jammy about it and like that, but they had an attack where they had a shot on goal, and I can't remember the build-up to it or anything. It was just my heart was in my mouth, and it looked like the fella was just knocking the ball into the net, sweeping the ball into the net. Jack Butland, it was a one-hander down to his left or down to his right. I don't even remember. This is what a save. An absolutely astounding save, and hardly anybody clapped because we're waiting for somebody to put in the rebound, or just we're raging at Rangers for getting, you know, taken to pieces so easily. But it was kind of stunned. I think most folk were just stunned at how well Jack Butland had saved this. So the ball gets cleared away, and we scored. We ended up scoring. And I think, in fairness to AASGAARD and Chermiti, Big Chermiti had a point today where he's only scored 2 goals for us, and both with his feet for such a big guy. The one against Kilmarnock, it was a 3-1 win, and their goalkeeper helped that one in. The one against Hearts, well, the game was by, but it was the last kick of the game. We were already 2-0 down. It was the last action of injury time. So he's not really had that moment where he's made a really solid difference all on his own. And there was a moment today where, I think this was after we were 1-0 up, we sweep the ball up the park as a kind of counter-attacking move. I think Mikey Moore knocks it over to Gassama on the right-hand side, and he plays it straight across the goal to Chermiti, who goes, it's just outside the D, and it's Big Chermiti's running through, and it's right to his feet. And this is it's a striker, and the ball is coming to his feet, where he's got the Motherwell defence backtracking in front of him, and he's just at the edge of the box, basically, and he fell over the ball. I don't know if he tried to hit it first time. I couldn't decide whether he hit it first time or control it and take it for a wee run. He tried a step over really early in the game, where he was kind of looking good. He was kind of going towards goal, and had beat one guy, and then he tried a mad step over and just completely lost control of the ball. I thought, well, he's confident, but he needs to calm down, and it didn't really do much with his feet after that. But that was a kind of moment where everybody's like, he's useless, he's garbage, it's never going to happen. There was a murmur went round the stadium after that. We're 1-0 up at this point, and this was a chance to finish it off. But I think a lot of times, the reason Motherwell can dominate, but they're looking really dangerous, really strong the first 15 minutes of the game. But the reason I think we come back into the game, Jack Butland was going long a lot of the time, and you've got AASGAARD and Chermiti, who are 2 big lumps, and they were going there and winning a lot of high balls. I think Chermiti had actually started that move, which, by kind of chesting the ball off or heading it down to somebody, which ended with him falling over the ball. So I think he was doing more than we realised today. He was giving us an out ball, he was giving us an advantage over Motherwell, who weren't big. Their midfield was really energetic, really tidy, really dangerous, but they weren't particularly big. So we've got AASGAARD and Chermiti coming back, 2 big units. That was giving us little moments of advantage, letting us pitch for tent in their half from time to time, and we gradually came to dominate possession for the rest of the game. Motherwell always dangerous though. So we get the goal. As I said, it was JD Gassama doing his thing. He does so well. He drives into the kind of inside right or inside left channels. It was the inside right channel on this time, and he hits the left-footed shot, the curler. The goalkeeper, he's going to the top corner sometimes. Other times the goalkeeper gets to it, palms it away straight to the feet of Big Thelo AASGAARD, who taps in from, 5 yards, 3 yards, something like that. 1-0 Rangers. We can celebrate this one. No offside calls, no VAR stuff going on. Motherwell made a triple sub. Mikey Moore had definitely made a difference. He was working away at it. He'll take the ball deep in his own half, Mikey Moore. Merry Christmas to the wee sweepy guy there. He'll take the ball in his own half, Mikey Moore, back to goal and just run past guys. Take it away. He's really, really confident. Derek Johnston's calling out for Rangers to get more Scottish players. Well, the best we could manage was bringing on at half time a guy whose girlfriend's dad's Rangers daft, apparently. So that was it worked for us. And then about 77 minutes, Chermiti come off to very little applause. I ended up just applauding him off the park just because I felt so embarrassed at a lack of applause for him. And on came Majowski, who I think is everybody's preferred striking option these days for Rangers. And I think as we started with the kind of Motherwell putting on more pressure to try and get the goal, try and get the equaliser, we start breaking away. Couldn't he put the chances away? Gets to like the 87th minute, 3 minutes for the end of the game. We make a triple substitution. Big John Suter comes on. First game, but we're only winning 1-0 against Motherwell, who are above us in the table at kick-off. We're only winning 1-0 against them. It's quite a crucial game. They're all crucial at Ibrox. We're only 1-0 up, but the manager decides, no, I'm going to change it my centre halves, and he gets. also he's trying to rest Sterling as well. He doesn't want to ruin Sterling. It's this thing that Danny Röhl does when he just looks towards the fitness of the players and kind of ignores what's happening with the results at times. He doesn't get overly worried if we're only winning 1-0, because we usually are only winning 1-0 if we're winning at all. But off goes Dujon Sterling, who probably wasn't an option to keep Big Dujon for much longer anyway. He had a decent game, but he goes off. On comes John Suter, and we brought on Lyle Cameron and Finlay Curtis as well. So we're kind of lightening things up a bit. Players who've been in the cusp of the team, one coming back for long-term injury. On they come with 3 minutes to go, and plus it turned out 5 minutes injury time, and it was exactly the same as the Hibs game. It was so like the Hibs game, it's ridiculous. We're piling forwards. Motherwell are getting, they look in my sick, worried head, my fatalistic head, they're getting closer and closer to what felt like an inevitable late equaliser. Why do we always do it like this? I'm saying to Jenna next to me, why do we always do it like this? She said, why is it always like this? Why are we always hanging on 1-0 and they equalise late on, whoever it is will happen to play? And we don't always do it like this at all. But we'd have these breakaways, and we just couldn't. Mikey Moore had, I don't know at what point in the game Mikey Moore had won. It was like 20 minutes to go or something, because Chermiti was still in the park. The two of them were involved, and they were just about 6 yards for a goal. The Motherwell keeper's parrying it and stuff like that. It was rebounds, and it ends up with Mikey Moore just passing the ball into the goalkeeper's hand. It should have got put away, and that was just a sign of things to come as we got into the dying embers of the game. Motherwell getting closer and closer. John Suter's first touch of the ball, just putting it straight out across his own box for a shy, taking no chances with his first touch. But Motherwell putting the pressure on us. His second touch, I think he came up for a corner, a Rangers corner, and he just wrestles a guy at the ground to take a booking, which was fine. Some strange refereeing going on today. Some of it benefited us, some of it didn't. Conor Barron picked up a particularly stupid booking. Not stupid from his point of view, a really poor booking from the referee's point of view. But we just would break away. I think Lyle Cameron did the same thing of passing the ball into the goalkeeper's hand. We let a minute to go, and it was just half of the screaming and shouting was frustration at the poor finishing, and half of it was just sheer nerves. It was just sheer nerves, because if Danny Röhl had failed to win for the first time, he'd failed to win. Or had lost a game, had dropped. He's had the two successive draws, the United at Tannadice, and then after Falkirk at Ibrox. But this would have been him dropping 5 points in 2 games as opposed to the 4. It would have been pretty bad. To not win today when Hearts have slipped up as well, when Celtic have won, it would just all be a bit Celtic. Really, the league's just fallen their way. So it was painful. It was really, really tense, but we got there. We did it, and if you've got to the end of this podcast, you should congratulate yourself as well. You've got there, you did it. There's more to life than books, but not much more. There's more to life than books, but not much more. That's a kind of Oscar Wildean aphorism from Morrissey at the end of "Oh, You Handsome Devil," and I would agree with that. It's Christmas time. I mean, I got my Small Hours, the Long Night of John Martin, the Graham Thompson, the guy's name. I got his John Martin biography, so I've started reading that. It's quite good. It's quite really enjoyable. I've been trying to get that for a wee while now, but I eventually managed to get that for my Christmas. But there's much more to life than books. I mean, I got the Skeletrix, the Figure of 8. I got the Sabutio, I got the Action Man with the grip hands and the eagle eyes, and I got the Scorpion Tank, and I got the Duck, the DUKW. You get the amphibious vehicle. You see them in Boston these days. Folk do tours around about Boston that in the amphibious vehicles, but you first got them. It was Action Man that had them first. Got that, and I got the Sabutio with the pitch and the 2 teams. I got Brazil and Italy, so I'm going to have a rematch of 1982. In Espanyol in the Sarria in Barcelona, Espanyol's ground, because I got 4 the 2 stands, 2 boxes of stands, and they quite like the Sarria stands from 1982, and I got a packet of crowd, so I'm going to have a packet of crowd spread in there as well, and I'll have rematches of that and the snooker table, and I got the Beatles Greatest Hits tape, and I'm going to play that on my tape recorder while I'm playing snooker on my 6-foot snooker table in between pitting the Sabutio pitch and Tappet and having a rematch of that again. There's more to life in books, but not much more. I think there is a lot more to life. I get 5 selection boxes, obviously. And what I got with my wife, my eyes really itchy. I'm going to have to scratch my eye. Oh, that was weird. I think it's the Pyro. I think it's the Motherwell fans' Pyro. It's still getting to me. Probably going to lose an eye, but no, I'm not trying to grass them up to the SFA. I'm not trying to grass them up to the authorities. But my wife and I were on Sky, rhymes with I. I'll tell you that, we went to Sky for October. I'd never been to Sky before, absolutely unbelievable. Our mum and dad had been to Sky though a few times, but mum and dad no longer with us. Mum and Dad no longer with us, and it's a funny time, Christmas. Funny time for that kind of stuff. I love Christmas, despite like the worst thing that ever happened to me in Christmas Day. The worst thing that ever happened to me on Christmas Day, and kind of Boxing Day. It's at the hands of people we once loved. It's really, really brutal stuff, really horrendous, totally changed my life. But yeah, I still love Christmas. I still have this thing. I don't know if it's the New Year thing. And I know parents, it's a big Scottish thing. Used to be in Scotland, everybody just had New Year as a holiday rather than Christmas because we're all about the bevy. And I don't know if that, it's quite tense at New Year and that, with mum and dad kind of falling out about stuff and that, the drink being involved. And just like it was with everybody at that time. But Christmas was more, Mum and Dad always gives a great Christmas, and it was all about the presents because you're a kid and whatever. It was always magical, always provided for really well when I was kids at Christmas. But a really terrible thing happened to me and my wife once at Christmas, on Christmas Day, and but one of the worst other things that happened to her was obviously far worse than that, was when she lost her parents, within 2 years of each other. Just one of these things, they had good lives and what have you. It's just age, it's a part of growing up, but there's a lot of that about at Christmas. You have wee moments where you go, and the folk that aren't with you anymore, but yet still I really look forward to it, and I watch ghost stories, watch all the M.R. James ghost stories. I like to read a few M.R. James ghost stories at Christmas. But we'd been to Skye, and it was always the eternal struggle to try and work out where to get my wife for when I end up just asking her, just double check that I've got some really bad stuff as usual that I thought up myself. Do you want to throw in a few? So you're guaranteed to get, threw me a few suggestions, so you're guaranteed to get something that you actually like. And one of the mad things I got her, one of the reasons I have to ask her what she actually wants for Christmas, is I got a candle. Right? I know, Mr. Generous. I know. It wasn't all I got her. Burn Baby Burn. I got a candle. But it was called Highland. It was like Highland scent, the scent of the Highlands. And Skye was so beautiful. None of the two of us had been to Skye before. We had that week in Skye in October, and it was magical. Absolutely loved it. We totally loved it. Fell in love with the place. Completely different from what we thought it was going to be. So I got this candle. It was Highland candle. I'm not really into anything that's kind of heavily Scottish, and Skye's got so many kind of biscuit tin associations that I didn't want to try it, but it's totally different for that. But I got my wife a candle because Highland's a wee kind of. I'm trying to do something imaginative here. I got that in a selection box, I ain't saying she's a gold digger, and it turned out she got me a bottle of Talisker, which is a bit better than a candle. But we didn't go to the Talisker. No, Talisker, the whisky they make on Skye, hadn't gone to Talisker distillery like we were planning to do. So many things to do on Skye back in October. I was should I got myself a Talisker? So she got us a bottle of Talisker amongst my many other brilliant, because of the Skeletrix Figure 8 and all that, the Stretch Armstrong Connect 4, all the things I got. That was probably the best one. It was the bottle of Talisker. So that was great, right? And we're sitting. Christmas Day is fantastic, and then on Boxing Day yesterday, sitting having a few drinks. No, it wasn't. It was still during the day. I wasn't having it all day. Just went for a wee walk, and I was having something to eat, having a bit of lunch, turkey. And what are we going to watch? Exhausted all the possibilities of television already. And I'd recorded, I do it all the time, Grand Design's House of the Year. I've got to be I've got to try middle class stuff, but it's quite good sitting at Christmas watching the Grand Design's House of the Year, just slagging the folk rotten. It looks like a fucking primary school for 1970s. That looks like a doctor's reception. You think that's a house? It's good doing all that. And then one of the couples in the House of the Year, one they nominated, where was their house? It was somewhere Highlandish anyway, or Outer Hebrides. I think it was Outer Hebrides. And it's, it feels quite Scottish and what have you. It's the chips and gravy there. That's what I'm talking about more than I usually would. But so my wife goes straight to the kitchen, and she's, I don't know if it's because I don't know, but she goes straight to the kitchen anyway, and we don't have a gravy boat. The only time we ever properly use gravy is at Christmas, and we go to Marks and Spencer's kind of turkey gravy stuff, and ended up just in the microwave, and there was no room in the plate, didn't I actually decant it. It's what we've done a few times before when we're going to have gravy with something. We don't eat gravy very often. There's it's actually a milk jug, a wee tiny milk jug, like a ceramic milk jug. It's like a pottery, a proper pottery. It's got the wee glaze on it, like the glaze that's on me the day and the glaze that's on the but there's words in the bottom of it we'd never really, there's stuff being kind of painted with a wee fine brush that's been used to do the kind of esoteric looking, almost kind of, what do you call them? It's quite kind of, impressionistic, almost, quite kind of Monet. This little scene that's been painted, you can't really tell what it is, but there's greenery there. There's something that could be the sun, could be the moon. You know, there's hills and what have you. But it's generally kind of grey, glazed little milk jug, and I'm always saying to her, because I know she got it from mum and dad, and I'm always saying, I say to my wife, do you mind if I use it? Will I use that for? She, I knew she'd used it for gravy before. She said, I don't think they'd be bothered. I don't think my mother's going to come back and visit us in the night and tell us we've betrayed our memory because we're putting gravy in a milk jug. And she was telling us that her mum and dad had done that as well. They didn't have a gravy boat either. We just used the nearest milk. I thought, that's fine, that's cool. And then the next day she comes in and she goes like, because the most beautiful, one of the most stunning things about going to Skye in October was driving up Trotternish. Trotternish is one of the kind of headlands, whatever, what do you call it? Christ, the vocabulary's totally gone. It's freezing, and I've not had alcohol for more than 5 minutes, so I'm starting to stop. Peninsula, and we're driving up it, and there's this place called Uig, and you're looking at it on the map, and you say, all right, next stop's this place called Uig, right? UIG, maybe that's not how it's pronounced, but it's Uig, so it's memorable for that reason, if nothing else. 3 letters, UIG. But I'm not looking at gradients and stuff like that. I didn't realise that when you're driving up it, this one road that goes up the Trotternish Peninsula, you drive up and it goes up, takes up this massive big hill, and then you're looking down on the bay. When you come into Uig at first, Uig's down below you, and it's the bay, and you get the ferry there out to Harris and Lewis. And all that. It's a bit massive, brand new, just been done up anyway, ferry terminal, which is quite spectacular. But it's just the general view. You come up, you sit in this. There's a bit you can park the car, which looks down onto it, and it's like something that it's a bit like the Ballamore kind of thing. Even though it went to Tobermory a couple of summers ago, but it's a bit like that. When you're sitting looking at it, it's like a toy town. It's so idyllic, it's ridiculous, but also really kind of intimidating as well with the sea and all that before you. It's beautiful, absolutely breathtaking, and. We down into Uig, and there wasn't a lot going on, and I'm always kind of scared in these places where there's no lot going on. Like, you're going to go in, it's going to be the scene for American Werewolf in London and stuff like that. We had the carways in it, we weren't drinking, but we didn't bother. We just grabbed some sandwiches for a wee local shop, and you're chatting to the person in the shop. Everything's unbelievably local. And I was looking at a memorial at one point, and I was sitting down this memorial, and my wife's going, I'll go into this wee place here, this wee kind of ceramics type place, and I'm always in my West End wank, got an arts degree, so I'm always kind of thinking, oh yeah, if somebody comes to a wee town like this, they're obviously very good. There's just a dropout that's trying to justify themselves as like me trying to kid on a podder or a writer or something like that. It's just you just don't want to engage with real life. You're copping out. You found your niche, and it's somewhere in the top end of Skye. But my wife went into a wee look about the place and all that, and I was watching the boat going out and stuff like that, and come back in, and she said, it was really nice. And I said, was it a nice size? You should probably have a look. And I said, I'm not bothered, let's go back to the motor, and made plenty more driving to do. Fantastic. Ended up later on in the holiday, we drove over the back end of Uig. It's like a big cliff, like a mountain, you drive over the top of it. One of these single track roads, you go passing places where you're kind of winding round the side of the hill, back down into the bay for the other side. It's a fantastic place. Gorgeous. Really, really dramatic. And my wife, I've got this candle for the Highlands. She's got me the Talisker whiskey the day before, and then she goes in and she's just watching this thing about the Highlands on the telly, and she was just clearing up. She was taking stuff off the kitchen table out of the dishwasher and putting it back in the cupboards. And she's like, "Look at that! Look at what it says in the bottom of that. That's gravy boat, the adopted gravy boat, the milk jug." And we'd noticed these letters before, they'd just been painted on with the wee brush and all that, but we couldn't really make it. But suddenly it was like one of them said Skye, Skye. The E had been kind of blotched a bit, so it was Skye, and it says Uig. The other bit was obviously the initials of the person that had done this, but that had made this, the potter, or the glazer, not the potter, that had made this thing, and it's Uig. She's like, my mum got this in Uig. She'd been in the very same pottery shop. That's the only place in. She's actually in there. She was in there. That was a place her mum had been. Her mum passed away nearly 10 years ago now, but it just feels like she's an amazing woman. And it's I don't know. It felt quite amazing. It felt quite. It was one of the moments at Christmas. You just have these wee moments. You don't have to be super sentimental or oh God, we'll get all that in New Year. You don't have to be getting into all that kind of stuff. But it was just suddenly feeling closer to. lovely family memories, Christmas memories, lovely family memories, and realising we went to was it is it Portree? Portree, is that the capital of Skye? Is that Portree? Am I getting that mixed up with something else? I think it's Portree, but there was another wee Potters in there. They had a branch of the same folk that are in Uig. And it just, you'd obviously looked at it, and years gone by, we'd looked at this and just went, U-I-G-L-I, what is it that says? Because we didn't know there was a place called Uig. We hadn't been there, hadn't we? But it was gorgeous. I don't know, it just ties in with what happened with Big Derek Johnson the day, Big DJ. It was just something that a guy hasn't played for Rangers for nearly 40 years, a Barcelona Bear, you know, and yet he comes out onto the park at half-time, and it probably has as much influence on that game as a woman who's been dead for 10 years had a, you know, just that kind of incidental yet really fundamental influence on our Christmas as well, and in a good way, in a lovely way, a surprising way, a real nice way we weren't expecting. And then Big DJ the day he goes out there, and he was the gravy. He certainly was the gravy. I'll talk to you on Monday, folks, before replacement Mirren. Thanks for your attention.